Narcissists will stop at nothing to ruin your life, no matter what you do, because they're simply evil. Here's the proof. When considering the actions of narcissists and other egocentric people, it's important to understand what drives them. Many of us struggle to understand why narcissists behave the way they do. Narcissists are incredibly annoying, as anyone who has ever dealt with or even known one will attest. Narcissism is a complex topic, so before we go on to the next section, let's get acquainted with it by examining its definition and historical development. Narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, is characterized by a person's inability to empathize with others, their own exaggerated sense of self-importance, and their obsession with seeking and receiving praise and adoration. People close to a person with this illness may step forward to help in a variety of ways. What's the point of living in a world where narcissists are a constant nuisance? Narcissism is a genuine and persistent mental illness caused by early life adversity and trauma. Narcissism may have its roots in an overprotective and unstructured upbringing if you or someone you know has a history of it. Young narcissists' minds are often too fragile to handle much stress. Perhaps they were overindulged as children, or perhaps they were held to exceptionally high standards, but maybe they have a good reason for their behavior. Without a shadow of a question, narcissists are capable of unspeakable cruelty, and they frequently direct their wrath at those closest to them in order to drive home how much they loathe themselves. Narcissists can be swayed to trust you or overlook your defects if you shower them with enough love and attention. While a narcissist may initially see your strengths as attractive, they may reject you after they discover your flaws. When a narcissist finds out you're not perfect, they stop caring about you and could even treat you badly. Here are just 6 instances where narcissists have been cruel. Let's give it a look and see what we can learn. Number 1. The will to succeed, no matter the cost, is central to the narcissist's worldview. There is no middle ground in narcissistic thought. Either everything is perfect, or it is severely flawed. Narcissists frequently fantasize about attaining their ideals of fame, wealth, and physical attractiveness. The individuals around them, especially those who have been successful in acquiring what they seek, are the intended targets of their jealousy. They mistakenly believe that your success is their fault. However, it's also possible that they fail to seize an opportunity to win your approval and are, therefore, envious of someone else's success. You can waste your time trying to convince a narcissist of anything since they will ignore your arguments. The narcissist doesn't care if they make you feel bad by competing with you. They do it because they find it enjoyable. They don't know what to do with themselves. One's outward demeanor reflects their inner state of having nothing to lose. Your loved ones will be the first to celebrate your achievements. Flipping the script is an ability unique to narcissists. Narcissists won't be there to share in your joy at your achievements. Instead, they'll look for ways to poke holes in what you've worked so hard to improve. To put it simply, they will do whatever they can to thwart your progress. Narcissists are easily identified by a second defining characteristic, an inbuilt propensity for superiority complexes. Even though they continuously feel inferior, they convince themselves that they are superior and better than others. Narcissists often verbally abuse, criticize, embarrass, and even physically assault their victims in addition to boasting and exaggerating their achievements. Narcissists often put on airs of superiority in a bid to win over and exert power over others. In contrast, narcissists often look up to and even revere others they perceive to be selflessly helpful or heroic. Contrarily, a narcissist has little regard for everyone but themselves. People who aren't in the limelight are seen by narcissists as helpless weaklings who merit the narcissist's scorn since they're not better. Narcissists persuade themselves they are superior to other people, which is a lie, in order to justify their intolerance. Narcissists typically hold grandiose opinions of themselves and believe they are superior to everyone else. The narcissist will always feel entitled to your cruelty and will never admit it. That you're fascinating or helpful to them could play a role. Third, narcissists aren't very good at taking criticism. Narcissists have difficulty accepting constructive criticism. Believe in yourself and your ability to grow as a result of constructive criticism, and that's how much of a difference you'll make. Though they may not show it, narcissists take criticism very seriously. When narcissists get criticism, they often lose control and cry. The nature of the criticism makes no difference. They tend to be easily offended by even mild criticism. You'll have to admit defeat and accept they were correct. They'll take things to the next level if you keep criticizing them without taking any responsibility for your own actions. They'll keep on pushing until you give in to their demands. They will go to war with you if they cannot coerce you to do as they wish. It may be fruitless to try to help a narcissist learn from an experience if they react negatively to criticism. Keep in mind that they are entirely preoccupied with themselves and that any criticism will just make them more hostile. How can you avoid interacting with someone who is preoccupied with himself or herself? Number 4. Narcissists have a hard time forgiving themselves. Narcissists are typically motivated by a deep-seated hatred of who they are rather than self-love. However, the abused party is traditionally the one to extend forgiveness to the abuser. The process of forgiving oneself can be extremely painful for narcissists. One of the ways people deal with grief is by avoiding thinking about or talking about the loss. Details like these may be irrelevant to their feeling of self-worth, so they may choose to ignore them or add them to their secret stash. A narcissist probably won't be able to discern the difference. When you know what to look for in a narcissist, their fake veneer crumbles. Being soulless, they are unable to feel compassion for themselves or others. Pride prevents narcissists from letting go of grudges, thus they have little interest in extending mercy to those who have wronged them. Due to their obsession with taking in other people's negative energy, they will never let up on their attempts to cause harm. In number 5, narcissists live in a fantasy world they've created for themselves. Narcissists have an undeniable magnetic appeal. They know just how to make the reader feel empathy for the main character by giving them a painful history of mistreatment. I admire their boldness and initiative. If we have a low opinion of ourselves, we are more likely to buy into the advertising. They would like us to believe that they are the only ones who can renew our strength and give us a reason to live. In fiction, heroes and villains who are narcissists or otherwise self-absorbed can be fascinating. Personal narratives of amazing deeds of bravery, selflessness, and accomplishment will captivate you. You can see how different things were back then if you give it some thought now. Their seemingly simple lives belie the fact that they are blinded by their own delusions. This facilitates the easy dismissal or justification of opposing viewpoints. The narcissist goes into defensive, even hostile, mode when his or her carefully built worldview is threatened. People around them will avoid them at all costs because of their refusal to acknowledge reality. Finally, narcissists have trouble empathizing with those in their immediate vicinity. This explains why narcissists lack empathy. They're heartless and unable to empathize with others. Their insensitivity originates an innate incapacity to empathize. Narcissists and other self-absorbed individuals lack empathy. As a result, they start early on to become unhealthy and overly self-absorbed. They have everything they could possibly want from their parents, and as adults, they don't seem very concerned with the issues confronting their peers. Attempting to help a narcissist get over a shortcoming in their development is not your job. You've realized that you were used as a stepping stone for their own ego, and that you shouldn't have expected the same level of empathy from them as you would from a normal person. Narcissists' egocentric tendencies prevent them from experiencing empathy. Because it goes against their nature to prioritize the sentiments of others, they won't try to empathize with you. It may seem wise to give up to the narcissist's harsh manner and demands to avoid the narcissist's rages and coldness. Avoid fooling yourself into thinking that will resolve the issue. You must accept the narcissist as they already exist, not as you would like them to develop. Stop making excuses for your harmful actions and ignoring their effects. Living in denial won't assist a narcissist who is famously hard to alter. The true test is whether or not you can keep up such a lifestyle without becoming conceited. Pay attention to what you're doing at the moment. By increasing your understanding of narcissistic personality disorder, you may be better able to recognize and avoid harmful relationships, while also increasing your capacity to create and maintain healthy ones. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, please subscribe, like, comment, and turn on push notifications. If you learned something from this video, please consider checking out some of my previous uploads. Thanks. This is the harsh truth behind the narcissist mask that will shatter your reality. A narcissist's poor self-esteem is rooted in the conviction that he or she is unlovable. To reassure themselves and the world that they are great and universally adored, they blow their egos well out of proportion. Pompousness, arrogance, and a feeling of entitlement are the results of being overweight. Narcissists are hypervigilant and paranoid in their efforts to defend their fragile egos because they are constantly on the lookout for anyone who might knock them off their perch. For them, protecting their leadership position is a matter of life and death. In order to attain their objective, they can resort to whatever means necessary. They desperately seek love, but have no concept of how to give or accept it. To get the affection of the people they desire, they resort to trickery, witchcraft, and manipulation. Prepare to have your minds blown, everyone. You may think you have a good understanding of what makes a narcissist tick, but what I'm about to tell you will blow your mind. I'm betting that you had no idea. I'm going to expose the ugly truth about narcissists in this video. It's great to have you all here again. I hope things are going well for you right now. As a result, in today's video, I'll tell you the one thing about the narcissist that you most likely won't have guessed. The narcissist will never tell you this, but you can tell by their actions that this is the case. If you take the time to investigate the roots of their actions, you will see, or had it made clear to you, that this is the case. You start to wonder what it is when this happens. Narcissists have an extreme self-hatred. Give me a moment to elaborate. If you've ever been confused by their antics, this video will clear things out for you. Narcissists have a way of bearing oneself that belies their lack of self-confidence. They come across as completely self-sufficient and worthy of all the nice things that have occurred to them. An enormous lie is being told. They would prefer remain quiet about the fact that they aren't doing good. Since their entire lives have been predicated on the idea that they are not fine and must lie, narcissists have to pretend that everything is all right, in fact, more than ideal, that they are living their finest life, and that they need to display this to the world. More than that, this is being done out of pure malice, and it all begins in our early years. Think about having a parent or caregiver that you have a strong emotional connection with, and then having them let you down. It's quite disappointing when their behavior and words reveal their true feelings towards you. Narcissists find you repulsive just because of who you are. Furthermore, there are a variety of ways this could be conveyed. Narcissistic parents are more likely to abandon or ignore their children. They are never comforted or acknowledged by anyone around them. The youngster spends his or her formative years puzzling over life's inherent mysteries. Who knows? If they do, why haven't they told me? Narcissistic children typically try to live up to their parents' expectations of perfection. But at a deeper level, they assume that my parents have treated me this way because they saw me as disposable. They are so desperate for their parents' love and attention that they have created this facade to deceive others. They claim this will be the scar that never goes away. This flaw in their personality is never addressed or fixed, and as a result, they come across as arrogant and regal. Proof of good health is necessary. It's just how their parents imagined them to be. Favorite child status is maintained regardless of how their parents treat them: golden child, abandoned child, or parent who idealizes their child. According to their ideal, the kid should be just like them, only smaller. Therefore, in either scenario, the youngster isn't able to be authentically themselves. They'll never be able to fully express their true selves. Conversely, narcissists spend so much time building a fake persona of superiority and confidence that they lose touch with their actual, authentic self and don't know who they are. Since mimicking is such a common childhood activity, it is no surprise that many adults still engage in the practice. Therefore, their entire behavior is a direct reflection of their upbringing and maturation from infancy to adulthood. Consequently, their persistent behaviors define who they are. Narcissists think so highly of you because you represent perfection to them. Why? Because that's how they interacted with their parents when they were young, and they think it will get them the same kind of love and acceptance from you. Because they want your praise, they'll act in this way. What a huge charade this is, right? This persona is a front worn to hide deep emotional scars. It does not accurately reflect their true identity. They're suffering such inner turmoil that they have to put on a front. Since they're already hurt, they pretend to be someone else in order to gain your approval, or at least they act that way because they believe that's what you want them to do. They manipulate you and the situation using deception and trickery to obtain control. Because of this, everything went according to plan. These procedures make up the essential dynamics. Narcissists have a deep-seated contempt for themselves, despite their apparent charisma. If their parents don't accept them, no one else will. Being unaccepting of who they are prevents them from being authentic in their relationships. And you can bet that narcissistic children will model their behavior after how they were treated by their parents. This fundamental misinterpretation of one's own nature is the root cause of the endless repetition of this pattern. This person is merely trying to convince themselves that they are right and that everything they do is good when they lie to you or use gaslighting techniques. Narcissists put on a great show because they are insecure about themselves and want to blend in by acting normal. They behave this way because they place a premium on fitting in. So they go about trying to fit in. This is because they are seeking endorsement from others. That sense of community is essential for their well-being. Those who embrace this attitude feel marginalized by society at large. They know deep down that things are not great, but they keep putting on a brave front. They are essentially handling everything themselves. Aiming for societal acceptance motivates their efforts to appear nondescript. They try to find evidence to back up their beliefs. As a result of the importance they place on these feelings, they enjoy extensive relationships with many people. They have a wide network of friends and acquaintances. They need this because it gives them the assurance they crave to know that their friends accept them just the way they are. And without it, people feel alone and disconnected. Because you know that beyond all that inflated sense of self-importance, there is regret and humiliation and all that other stuff. You can't just leave them alone and expect them to figure things out on their own. This is probably why on the inside they're wondering things like, so I'll have to pretend for a time. To put it simply, if I don't change my behavior, no one will like me. Reality will out if I don't make some changes. Do you see how their way of thinking and how they interact with others is destructive to themselves and those around them? If a narcissist claims to be someone, you should never believe them. We can't help but feel they'd be better off without you thanks to the tremendous Britain, the enormous facade you've put up. Your family was constantly worried about being separated from you. They always intended to keep you around. They've been counting on you to take their words at their value and stay with them. They are very troubled by the idea of being abandoned. They create a new persona because they believe it would improve their mood. They put on this front because they are unsure of who they really are and want to be treated as though they are whole. Basically, they're only half human. The individual's perception of him or herself as unattractive and ugly is a factor. This is yet another example. They pretend to appear confident in social situations because they are afraid of people's reactions if they reveal their inner struggles. Instead of opening out about their struggles, they prefer to keep their emotions to themselves. They are feeling down and worried, but don't want anyone to know it. They're hesitant to do so because they don't want their vulnerabilities shown. That is something they will not prove. They dislike being weak for the same reason that they dislike feeling helpless. Something is bothering them within, and they feel the need to show the world that they can overcome anything. Even worse, they become vulnerable the moment they let on to others that things are not as they seem. Remember that narcissists never go out of their way to assist a total stranger. That, then, is the startling truth. I would assume that you weren't fully cognizant of it. Narcissists have an unreasonable, deep-seated dislike of themselves. It's tragic that this narcissistic personality trait is fixed. Because of the narrative they tell themselves and the strong beliefs they have about who they are, they will not change their destructive, counterproductive behavior. By closely analyzing their behavior, you can deduce that they despise themselves. Because there are so many others traveling with them. Why? Because they have a lot of self-hatred. For them, having a goal to work toward is crucial. In order to protect themselves from the consequences of telling the truth, they will tell you a lie. As a result, they stubbornly refuse to accept reality. Since there is no other option, they will have to lie. Therefore, it comes off as reasonable. They imagine it to be such, but it isn't. You wouldn't be able to accept their truth, their reality, until they gaslight you and alter your perception of the world. In fact, that's what's prompting this behavior. It's important to delve deep and truly despise oneself. You look at the narcissist now and see how far they've come. They're married and maybe even have kids. They've established themselves professionally and they're flush with riches. However, at the core of it all is a vicious hatred, either of others or of oneself. Yes, that sums up the situation nicely. This is it, exactly. You must, then, have faith that you can become better. No matter where you are on your journey to wellness, we are here for you. You can, and will get over this. Narcissists, on the other hand, never do. It is one of the worst things, if not the worst thing, to live with the knowledge that you will never be able to change your self-hatred story. As things currently stand, that's obviously not going to happen. Unfortunately, things are just going to get worse from here on out. I'm hoping this film has helped viewers understand the underlying causes of narcissists' destructive behavior patterns. In other words, I can't wait to make another video for you guys because you're the best. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. The things that will happen when narcissists begin to lose power over you. The emergence of narcissistic characteristics is the subject of today's video. If you enjoyed learning about the traps that bring narcissists to despair, please like and share this video. But before you go off on a tangent, I'd like to get back to the core point. Having a child has a way of melting the hearts of even the most jaded of people. People fall in love easily because they are still young and innocent, but they will grow up and learn better in the long run. Their frustration builds up over time, and they eventually snap. Sooner or later, when they are given more responsibility, you'll see a marked change in their personality. Listen more carefully, ask more questions, show more interest, and help out more regularly. Nothing else is more important than that. Victims of narcissistic abuse have been instructed or come to believe that they must perform these things. As you now know, narcissists inevitably decline with age. The level of abuse is rising rapidly. When challenged with gaslighting, manipulation, or plain lies, anger and hostility only grow stronger. Focusing in on what matters most is essential. It's important to remember that a narcissist's capacity for empathy is like a boat with a hole in the bottom. You can't make me like it, no matter how much time and effort you put into it. Empathy is empathy, no matter how much effort you put into manipulating it. It runs out rapidly and needs to be replenished frequently. This means that narcissists will need to stock up on supplies from more than one location. Everyone is coming up with their own plan of attack to get the job done. Somatic narcissists, for example, are highly confident in their own physical attractiveness and use this to gain attention. Some narcissists are driven by material success, while others seek power. Sometimes they have a lot of sway over things, but we know that all of the ways they get the supplies are temporary, ephemeral, and not sustainable in the long run. Not a single thing hasn't changed. People are said to be somatic narcissists if they rely solely on their physical appearance to get what they want: attention, admiration, adulation, acceptance, validation, etc. That's just what becoming older does to people. When the physical consequences of old age finally set in, they begin to tremble. Skin begins to show signs of aging in this group. As a result, they are no longer as reliable as they previously were. Their muscles weaken and give out from lack of use. Once their skeletons finally give out, only then do they surrender. Losing the approval of others is the worst thing that can happen to a narcissist. To the extent that the narcissist loses all sense of self-control, this is the time when they are at their worst. They are no longer able to influence the world around them. People no longer have faith in their leadership. It's humiliating to them, but they can't seem to help themselves. The most devastating effect is on their self-esteem. The haughty atmosphere has been dispelled. Then, when order breaks down, they use the cruelest methods available to kill, maim, and control the populace. A wounded animal is more dangerous than a healthy one, which you must know. A wounded tiger is much more dangerous than a healthy one. It's the same with a damaged narcissist who acts more viciously, destructively, and violently because they are so angry at themselves that they have no other option except to act like a beast. This causes them to become a more formidable enemy as they age. Because of this, we should anticipate no changes as time goes on. Many of the folks who have been feeding them have started to leave recently. Narcissists have used up all their options for acquiring more resources. To cope, a narcissist may either hibernate, giving the appearance of having given up on life, or sink into a severe depression-like state in which they withdraw, isolate themselves, and act in ways that give the impression that they have given up. However, hibernation gives them a chance to recharge their energy levels and think forward to when they might need food or shelter again. Narcissists typically cling to material goods like money for a sense of immediate safety. If a narcissist goes into hibernation and accumulates a lot of wealth, they can use that wealth to influence other narcissists into positions of power. For example, some narcissists who have previously stated they are not religious may come to embrace religion. They insisted that they started preaching about God, hell, and the hereafter so that they could build a large group of followers who would follow them wherever they went. The narcissist becomes the cult's new leader and immediately restores his or her position of power. As a result, they work to ensure nothing changes. Every one of these is a strategy for regaining part of their former stature in the community. This is what happens to the narcissist when they realize their old methods are useless. In the end, though, nothing helps. Because of their see-through nature, most people avoid them. They were wretched, powerless, and completely alone because everyone had abandoned them. Nobody did much to help them as the end of their time on Earth approached. Some narcissists I know have experienced this. From what I've heard, this is what happened. The narcissist acts as a container, connecting the many elements into a unified whole. Supplies are low, and they will do anything to get more. But as time goes on, individuals come to comprehend and master these methods, and they start to rely on them more and more. Their options as the world changes are to adopt a victim attitude and plunge into a despair, or to go into hibernation and re-emerge with novel supply tactics. Some narcissists, in an effort to feel powerful again, have sought out positions of authority in the religious, spiritual, academic, political, and professional spheres. The video I posted today was meant to be educational and stimulating. If you have anything to contribute, please do so in the comments area.